Right. So I uh I kind of got on a tangent of writing some things that I thought and felt in relation to all this ICE enforcement stuff. And what it's kind of evolved into is almost like a I I don't usually like to get this I mean I know I would like to, but for the sake of not challenging a system that I feel is not always like you could live a whole life and be a part of something and not realize how inherently wrong it is until you've almost gotten through your entire life, really truly believing every time you look in the mirror to wash after or like when you wash your hands, um, that what you're doing is 100% good and right, and like you're helping people, you're helping your community, and and one thing that we've always got to take into consideration is that uh, whatever echo chamber that we're in is not the one that is talking about the right stuff, or not all the time. And sometimes it does not necessarily, because we've been in an environment where no one has challenged us. It does not mean that we're right. It just means that we've gotten this far. Uh, I I personally have say had some made some transgressions, some mistakes, some poor decisions, things that I know that I in certain people's eyes will never live down. All you have to do is look up my name or even take a scan of my face if you happen to get a photograph of me and do a facial image search, and you can see that I've been doing other kinds of work besides just getting looked at in some kind of a way. But usually, the things that might lead a person to look at me in that way are going to come at the top of the page, and the rest is history. If you're a very um, reactive person in terms of what society accepts as or deems as whatever it's labeling it. Um, you may not ever really make a best friend, or find a beautiful person like in a guy like me anyway. It may be that if a person does enough work for themselves in a world where if you hit the top of the internet, a lot of people will just look you up and find the things they do and believe the things they find. Um, it, it may be counterintuitive if the best person you are is not something that you readily describe to anyone or put out there. And like an example, it might be like when you go in the military. I was in the Navy and the U.S. Army National Guard, or excuse me, Wisconsin Army National Guard, First 147. And there's people that you meet in the active duty military um, that you would never have a chance to become friends with otherwise. I mean, the same thing could be said for people that just go and work in a line of work that doesn't necessarily attract all the same kind of people, which is like everything. And you will always, if you work in an organization like that, a large group seeking people with similar skills, you're going to find that people with similar skills are all kinds of different people that can do other things too. And even in that smaller set of people, you'll find things that you never knew existed. All besides just people that are different than you. And man, where am I going here? I have a lot of experience I can never put on a resume. That you would only be able to read in between the lines of the things that I write or the things I share. Uh, I uh, at times I feel kind of shitty for sharing such just total shipwreck ass guitar therapy, and I think it's time that I make another channel that focuses on just that. If you're the kind of person that likes or gets into watching other people fail or suffer or fall down, shade and fraud or whatever. I don't know if I pronounced it right. I mean, maybe you would want to look at that. But for the people that came to value the things that I share, that I truly put thought into, that I have used ChatGPT, but the thing is that I have so many thoughts that to be able to share these things or these things I'm feeling, these things I have ideas about, or the topics I'm thinking of, to do it at a pace that it comes to me is almost impossible. And to have an awareness on top of all that, or prior to that, let's say, enables me to throw out my thoughts, have them organized, have them kind of embellished, if you will, fed back to me through listening to it, and then immediately call out sometimes, "Hey, don't be freaking trying to guardrail me." I mean, I ask you to freaking like a military guy, like don't be trying to subtract something because somehow it doesn't have value here, or don't be trying to add in your two bits just because it has to do with the shit I mentioned. If you think that this needs to be round out in some way, that that a little bit of asking the creator of your work for clarity could bring, you know, do that. But don't just sit here and guess that I don't want to present myself as a guy that's going to sound like I do when I say the things that I'm going to, whether you help me or not. Okay. And with that in mind, like, I don't want to throw anybody into a bias against me, or go too far without saying anything in the ways that I do when I fully polish and organize my thoughts. I can't say that it's 100%, but it's a lot better than I would do any other time, considering butterfly, shiny thing. Hey, oh, what? What are we talking about again? What's your name? But believe me, like, there's certain things that stick to me, like your face. Hey, you're not gonna care if I forget your name when I'm the only one that pulls over. I'm that good. I can see through a beard sometimes if you didn't have one. Um, but at any rate, I've been kicking around this ICE enforcement stuff. I really don't like to see people that have an American dream in them, that still has a fire burning. Like, there are people that just have expectations of always getting the needs that they have fulfilled and never contributing to society. And somehow, because you were in the right the right proximity and you dropped out of a hole, you're entitled to that. Not fuck that. I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm not going to be your judge for that necessarily, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that's all good either. And sometimes you kind of wonder if you saw my existence these days, because I've been rather a hermit and reclusive for reasons that have nothing to do with all that. Okay, some of them are my fault. Some of them are just the way they are. But at any rate, I'm going to play something that I have Chat GPT kind of queued up and ready to read for you. It might not be spot on where it's supposed to be, but just let me get started, and you'll see that it'll be a more enjoyable experience for some. And if we have comments later or something like that, then we can always do that. So thanks for listening. If you want to share this with anybody, I strongly encourage you to do. If you think they might, based on the title, appreciate what I might say. So here you go.
Quickly grew into something bigger. A lens on your plate and section you've given me, smooth the
Come on.
and the true cost of freedom. A ground level perspective. SE.
Sorry, that might be a little loud. Um, ICE Enforcement Authority and the True Cost of Freedom, a ground level perspective. And I really snowballed on this, man. So you got to, you may not find yourself ending up where you thought we'd go. And it might be good. So hopefully it is for you.
A raw, human first look at ICE enforcement, authority, and the hidden costs of maintaining liberty, covering moral, social, and economic impacts and the price of ignoring systemic truths. Introduction. Speak the truth or be ignored. I started talking about recent ICE enforcement, but it quickly grew into something bigger, a lens on your place in the world and the forces shaping it. Much of what we see now didn't appear overnight. Some moves are deliberate, meant to divide and diminish freedoms, even from people who never deserved to lose them. The United States was an experiment in freedom. In one lifetime, so much changes that it's hard to even remember how it began, what it was meant to protect, and what was intended to last. Laws, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and amendments exist to remind us what matters. They tell us what to preserve, what to change, and where to focus our energy. Most people are taught only part of the truth. Imagine knowing 70% of the facts. You see the good, but miss the 30% that's vital. That missing piece, it can be dangerous if handled blindly. Some of it can hurt you if you try to act without understanding it fully. When someone speaks the truth, it often makes others uneasy. Why? Because truth exposes what they refuse to admit about themselves. That's why it's avoided, even when it's exactly what's needed. Here's the hard part. If what you share doesn't hit fully, don't expect anyone to absorb the next thing you have to say. People lean in only when they sense truth. Your words, your message, they have to matter now. Otherwise, they're ignored and the chance to make impact disappears. So when you speak, make it count. Make them feel it. Make them see it. Only then can they truly follow what comes next. Intent and boundaries. While you're reading this before going deeper, let's be clear. This is not a call for chaos. It's not advocating violence. It's not anti authority. It's not extremism. This is honest accounting. It's about recognizing systems that harm, knowingly or unknowingly, and asking if we are truly measuring the human cost. It's about lowering the temperature before harm escalates, not inflaming it. Everything here is intended to inform, provoke thought, and preserve liberty, not destroy it. Sacrifice, virtue, and the cost of ignoring reality. We celebrate sacrifice, but we rarely talk about preventable harm. Pursuing the American dream incorrectly, with misinformation or ignorance, can hurt others. We don't have enough systems of forgiveness for people who have already contributed. Many everyday conveniences, food, services, infrastructure, are often supported by those not properly documented. We need remedies for those adding value, not just for those disrupting. Ignoring this creates cycles of unnecessary harm. Contribution, longevity, and practical sense. Life expectancy, even with imperfect measures, should inform action. Chemicals in food, poor health education, and systemic contradictions shorten lives. Whatever the life expectancy, it should guide practical decision making. Someone bringing legitimate skills or experience, like sustainable farming knowledge, should be empowered to mentor others. Translation tools, glasses, and practical support would allow people to follow positive examples, increase self sufficiency, and feed communities with dignity. Diversity becomes lived experience, not a holiday concept. Lifetime cost, labor, and honest accounting. If someone has 30 to 40 years left, why not calculate the resources required for their life in a community safely, productively, and meaningfully? We already project future labor output for children. Why not extend the same principle to people contributing now? Many with documentation expect provision without effort, but ignoring productive potential is wasteful. This is not radical. It is necessary. Some things make sense. Some things do not. The parts that do not need no explanation for the average person, they just need recognition. Neighbors, opportunity, and service. We must protect the livelihoods of neighbors, not diminish them due to paperwork. Opportunity to serve should exist without fear. Removing people who have already contributed or who could contribute meaningfully costs more than we think and provokes instability. Provocation is not security, it is spectacle. Authority, moral injury, and the people in uniform. Authority figures, police, enforcement, firefighters, often work within echo chambers. That does not mean their role is unimportant, but their expertise and sacrifice are undervalued, and the moral injury they experience is real. Sacrifice and oppression should never be confused with necessary sacrifice. Many enter these roles believing they protect people they love, only to realize the system operates differently. By then, families, debt, and obligation limit options. People cannot simply blame authority. They are often navigating the same moral minefield. Oppression, echo chambers, and honest reflection. Long-standing initiatives exist that do not serve individuals, families, or communities. These are oppressive. Participants often adopt institutional narcissism, justified within echo chambers. Religious freedom does not excuse harm. Closer knowledge narrows the gap between good and less good. Lining up facts shows when honorable language masks extraction of life, labor, or opportunity. Truth cannot be reinforced within lies. No amount of damage control changes that. Dissonance, awakening, and responsibility. Realizing this creates dissonance. That discomfort is not punishment, it is a guide. Some people you rely on for support may be those you oppressed in the past. Victims of oppression often become future oppressors if cycles are ignored. Recognition and choice are the only remedies. Cost per life, real value, and economic reality. Minimum wage does not reflect real purchasing power. Historical silver coins, once standard currency, could cover meaningful living costs. Today, currency devaluation makes survival harder. Media narratives profit from fear and confusion. Always ask, what solution are they selling you? Who benefits? Education, morale, and the future. Education should teach how to breathe and regulate oneself, communication and recognizing oppression, when self help is possible, when to seek support, how to identify authority, responsibility, and compassion. Those arriving from chaotic systems should be integrated with dignity, not exploited. We are not improved by denying capacity for oppression. We are improved by recognizing it and choosing differently. Closing, ownership and choice. This is not light versus dark, not Republican versus Democrat, not party politics at all. If the argument is good, it stands. If it is flawed, the flaws are owned. Ignoring reality does not erase it. If you do not have your seatbelt on, put it on. If you have a helmet, wear it. What comes next will not be softened by denial. This is the fully assembled final version, preserving everything you've said with
Okay,
punch,
so
rhythm, clarity.
you see where I'm going. Uh, I think I get a little bit a hyper focus on certain things, like or so far in the weeds that it's hard to remember what this guy is trying to tell you. Um, but because of the sort of feeling kind of compelled not to pay too much attention to junk like that, um, like the people getting emotional on the news or in the social media, for example, like I don't mean to ignore it, but I definitely don't mean to participate in something unproductive. At least not not if I have anything to offer a neighbor or somebody else to think about. Like there's enough people on social media showing you how to react inappropriately. If I could do something different, I think that'd be fantastic. So I hope that um, maybe I can contribute some thoughts here. Like I don't think that what we've been given, as far as like the types of news that we're seeing on television, are are going to be things that we benefit from even really being that responsive to. Okay. And the reason I say it like that is because even a response is a reaction when you're distracted from the most important thing to do or to know. For example, when when I see something on the news, you might not think like this, but when I see something on the news, I say to myself, "What are these guys trying to? What are they trying to or wishing for me to get from this um, that might even involve them having already at the ready a solution that they would like to provide more than I would like to receive it." I don't know if you know what I mean, but uh, like if you've ever heard of the Hegelian dialectic, this is not a thing that Hegel thought of himself. This is a pointing out of how people are often governed in situations where it may even be suggested or thought of as known that they are free. Now, one of the foundations of my channel, regardless of how totally freaking guitar noodled it gets, or how much of a madman I sound when I'm speaking in a stream of consciousness, if you're not asking questions and you haven't understood, then how dare you label it? Okay, and I don't mean anything. I don't mean to show teeth to you when I say that. I'm saying, how could you ever stand in front of anyone and act like you understood something so unintelligible to you as described? Okay. But the one thing that you're not going to get a whole lot of from me here is an example of how to feel about something that I have no idea how you would feel if it was just presented objectively for you to take in. Um, a perfect example of this um, is one I find in this. There's a lady that was just coming up in my feed who recently published another book. I think she said it was her fourth book. I'm horrible at pulling these things up, man. But let me see. Yeah, yeah. One of these days, I'm going to be totally prepared and really. I'm that here, but I often get so like inspired or I have something that I want to share about what's been shared with me, if not just by the default of it coming up in my feed, that I could write pages and pages. I mean, it could send me on a thought exploration throughout the day and turn me into this solipsistic mirror for all that is seeming to be resonating or not with it. If that makes any sense. And while these things may serve protective functions in our lives, or even just um, make some pretty good imaginary friends or enemies, um, occasionally it's good to refine and have more of a purpose to serve it because our work is refined. But I also obviously, if you haven't noticed it, or if you just follow me or subscribe, there are times when it's not even like the same person, uh, and that may not be too far from the truth in the sense that when my idea is coming out raw, I mean, it sounds like this dude, that wouldn't mind being called dude, is talking about some random shit. Like, and that's literally where I start a lot of the time. Like when I see these people getting uh, treated in a way that is inhumane, or not the way a fellow countryman might be treating his peer or his neighbor. Obviously, I'm going to think or feel some type of way about it, but it's more likely than not that I'm going to at least attempt to speak on it in a way that if there's a question to ask about it, I ask it. If there's a thought to think about it uh, prior to or after the question, I will think it. And if I can remember all this stuff on the fly, that's great because I'll share it all, and you might get a lot out of it. But typically, what happens is um, because of the flow of information in front of me, because of the flow of information coming through just out of me or into me, whatever. Depending on how you look at consciousness introspectively, out extrospectively, how um it's too much to just run on with it without having some kind of a foundation or a a pace car, if you will. And that's why I like ChatGPT. I think what we've got here in our world is a situation where if you didn't get it yet, there's some things that have happened. Uh, while you weren't on watch, or you thought you were, but you were distracted by something else that are far from unintentional or not far from unintended, let's say. And like now's the time to catch up. Okay. These things that we're being shown on the television, on the social media, whether it's out of your camera, mine, someone that has a corporate sponsor, the fact that monkey see, monkey do is just makes it worse. Okay. If someone on the corporate news channel is showing you or telling you how to feel about something, I wouldn't go very long before I'm looking at them sideways until they gave me a real good reason. Like they should be the one telling me how to feel or you. Okay. And if all of a sudden something that seemed like it was really important falls off the news cycle when some other nothing burger comes in, you've really got to wonder whose corporate sponsorship has decided that uh, this is no longer something you need to be worried about because it's affecting our bottom line or whatever it's affecting. Or we don't mention that because the features that we say on the side of the box are the ones you would like, not all there are. Just like your TV. If that thing could look back at you and tell what color of underwear you're wearing, or if you're wearing any at all, do you think they'd put that on the side of the box? Do you think it's impossible? Maybe not all of it, but probably more of it than you would think. And if you're just starting to have an awareness of it, that means that it's probably been working like that for much longer than you perceived it, longer than that, where anyone could have put the pieces together to assemble a picture for themselves of the fact that there are more features on this TV than they had on the side of the box. Holy shit. Like, hey, you see that dot there? Hey, give me a piece of tape. Oh, damn. No, we're just talking about technology now. We're not even talking about the technology of belief or the value of knowing. What exactly is the value of knowing above and beyond the value of belief? Okay. And if someone gets you emotional about one or the other, is there one that would matter more? I can tell you, if I get you emotional about what you believe and I can get you triggered to feel that emotion every time you think you know, how much would you move forward to actually know if what you believe is true? Scratch some heads, people. Scratch them good. You know, if you got beards, might be time to play with it. But because these questions, these thoughts don't lead into a path of certainty, all the things, all you can imagine. It's almost like I have to go back to the drawing board about everything. And that's literally where we are in our society, in our schools, in our news feeds. Like there are some people that are just getting enough together to know that I'm not sure how much of these guys saying what they say is true at all, man. Like sources say, that's like saying we're just about to bullshit you on something, stick around or go to the bathroom. Okay. What more would you get out of it at that point? How much faith would you put into it? I mean, at least we've got a life. If religion is a knowledge, if it is a belief, there's definitely a way to talk about these things where somebody might not leave the service. They might not leave the church in the middle of what after sources say, man, I got shit to do, buddy. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Um, I mean, it sounds a little bit exaggerated, but what that you see on the TV is not these days. What that you see in a book. The first time they could print 100 books in a row, don't you think somebody had imagined the possibilities? And when they could put a picture, when they could put sound with that book and have it even be some of the voices of the characters in the story, whose story would it be? Yours? Mine? Maybe the person that wrote the book, maybe they were contracted to write the book, commissioned to make a piece for whatever purpose it serves. And we can look back into the history of publication, these threads of reality weaving into something else entirely, often fiction. It doesn't mean that all of reality is fiction. It doesn't mean all of fiction is reality. But usually you find that sometimes in nonfiction, things are stranger than fiction. Sometimes you find in fiction, they tell more of the truth than they do where you would go looking for it. Is it accidental? It doesn't really matter. If you have food for thought and you're not chewing on it and trying to digest to see what you get, what's the point of eating? Like, I don't know. Maybe somebody get something to add. Um, it always feels like I'm talking and expanding on these things more than ChatGPT will allow me to have polished in one solid run without offering some stupid uh, matter of factness that I've already made a standing order to it to do, or like or editing out things that maybe it feels like won't be visually felt by you, or add anything to the value of what's shared. Even with this tool that I have, um, I I'm limited. But one thing it'll do is, Ryan, you know what? Maybe you are running in circles. maybe you do overshare a thought that is already covered for those that are intellectual or sophisticated enough to get what you're putting down. And if they can't, maybe they're coming from a school that doesn't ever entertain these ideas all in one row. And if you made it short enough, they could listen to it again. If you made it concise enough and clear enough, they might actually entertain it. So what are you trying to do here? Just run your mouth all day, or you want to get at something that a guy could pick up and just take in for what it is, sleep on it, and then come back at you with a comment or something, and then the student becomes the teacher. Because I'm not that well read. I'm a slow reader. I listen to books. I can listen to them much faster than I can read them. I tell you that. I take the fragments out of my world of the information that's given, and I sleep on it. I wake up, and it turns into something beautiful or a picture that nobody wants to see. Okay? And that's how, in this case, every gift can be a curse. And if you're gifted to look at things and zoom out and see something over here and something over there, you say, "Wait a minute, I didn't see that in the box with the same picture on it." But those pieces go together. Don't try to tell me they don't. Okay? And if I, for the first time, bring up all these pieces to you, fully assembled, you're like, "What box did that come out of?" No, no, no. They didn't put that in a box. I just laid them on the table and started moving them. Okay? And not everyone is invited to put pieces together that don't come up in the box. And how dare you suggest that the pieces in this picture go with those? I happen to have a few visceral reactions to things that people just haul off and think they know, especially when I've been programmed to emotionally react to them. If you read further back into my some of the stuff I've written, I mentioned numerous times now I believe, the most um, observed religion, although there are many denominations in our world, is never happen against. Whether you start a page of history, whether you start a cult, hey, you don't want that to happen again, do you? Maybe we can convince you to have the same thing happen, only call it something different so that you don't know it's going on. Think that ever happened? Maybe today, maybe yesterday, a year ago. I mean, it's just like so much ironic. The irony of a history book that you'll pay full price for because it's up to date, for the latest iteration of whatever curriculum has been assembled for you to take in. Is this socializing doctrine, or is this just the best we can do for you? Just the best we can do. Well, is it the best you can do or not? Oh, fuck me. I don't know. I quit going to college when uh I think maybe fuck me running might have been a better one. They said it was first said on in publication on a Megadeth album after a tape was somehow nailed or something. There's some part of this recording process they caught it on tape, and then they started. Somebody's looked into the source analysis of like how far back does this go, and it was just the first instance of something being published that the guy said it. Interestingly enough, um, now if you think that things are more significant in value to our living body of knowledge couldn't be obtained in a pile of pieces that were never intended to go together. Hey, smoke another one. I don't know about your state, but at least for now, they got rollies at the gas station, and they will do you a solid if that's what you're looking for. But it might be that since the time when you started learning things, whether you would ever go to roll anything and smoke it or not, they've been taking you for being high already, and that's part of the problem that we're in the middle of. Is that um, very few people are even been brought up around individuals not afraid of telling you the truth if the truth is available, not afraid of challenging those who believe things that might not be true. Um, but still, yet today we have very seldom come across in our path someone that's ready to hear the whole entire truth and not even react to it in a way that would be disruptive when they hear it. Now, God forbid you could line up a couple of them together and make an even more impactful truth assembled into one. Personally, I would not do that at the dinner table if I were you. Somebody made that meal, okay, and more often than not, they made that meal with a kind of love that would never be felt in such a potentially just toxic and disruptive, at least reactivity wise, environment. Okay? Right or wrong, it is what it is, man. I learned this from a guy named Alejandro that didn't ever teach it to me when I was in jail one last times, and I'll never forget it. I wish I would have like wrote down his last name. What a fucking asshole, Ryan. I mean, it was like one of the really good friends I've made in my life that you would have never ever said, "Oh man, that guy's not scary. Like, let's go be friends with him." Like, never have I ever. The likelihood that we would have crossed paths and said more than a few words to each other, probably not so much. If not just because of proximity. But this guy taught me something without having to say it. If you don't have anything good to say over this meal, shut the fuck up, please. It might be your mother's love. It might be your girlfriend's love. It might be the love you put into the meal yourself. You've got a significant other coming over to share with you. We don't need that shit, man. Not here. Maybe coffee and cigarettes, maybe as early as dessert. But don't sit here and line up the truth just because you think a couple of pieces go together on the same table as this meal that we are grateful to have, no matter how simple. Okay. And the same thing goes for playing the news on the TV while the meal is being eaten. I don't think so. Okay. And that's where the sanctity of the table we eat at somehow became one that was okay with being, for those that are eating at it to adulterate, to piss on, to put their idea of what's good on, when really who they're insulting the most is not only who they made the meal for, who made the meal, but who might bless them with the food to eat at all. Whether we want to read the book at the table, whether you've actually heard from end to end that book at all or in part, there's a type of like sacredness in just the commensality, though, what brings people together to do things other than argue about stuff, debate about stuff, learn about stuff that might not be a whole picture or a picture at all. Um, there will be time for that. But if you're going to put something in your body that you can touch, do you want to mix it with things you're not sure about? We can go and I can be called a hypocrite for reasons and this and that and the other thing. But the other thing you can't do is line up the thoughts I'm giving you right now. You either, hey, take it or leave it, man. People eat sugar. One of the most seriously harmful addictions ever known to man. Ever. Okay. There's less stigma on being fat. But the truth is, if you mix that sugar with enough other things, it's very likely that you will die before the people you'll ever put a stigma on. And it may be that some of them will still show up to your funeral and have nice things to say. Okay. And that's not to call you an asshole or anything, but how much do you feel like that when you think about it like that? I don't want you to. That's not the point. Another thing about telling the truth, uh, in a sea of emotion or emotionality, you're almost never going to be welcome back, especially if these people are programmed to feel how they feel when what you think is not really something to feel that way about, but they think it is. And their truth is all that matters about your welcome. I know this because I have challenges with people in my life. You know that it's not that I don't care. Like, come on, man. Like fucking forest, trees, elbow, ass. Like, can't you see these things are different? But if I line up the right set of ideas, the right wrong set of ideas, let's say, I won't have any room to make myself understood, and I may not even understand what the problem is. Okay? Shit, it might be me. And the truth of it, as we zoom out, as we back away from the table, they may know very well that they have things that challenge them. I may know that sometimes I can get a little excited when people have a reaction, not a little, a reaction to what I've shared, and it doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes it what it is. And if I wanted to lift that relationship up, I'm gonna have to start as a drill. This is not a drill. Uh, Practicing backing away from the conversation before it could get to a point where they'd come back sooner if I left it alone, rather than not want to hear it at all again. I know I can think of these things out loud, and it's much easier to do it when I'm one guy not being reacted to. And so, because of the value of that alone, I don't care what you think of me. The things I'm telling you are true. And if this is what I'm gifted to speak on, uh, take it or leave it. Like there may be very few in your life that will ever speak to you this way. And if you take the time to listen, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Okay. You can't judge me for being right. You can throw shade on me for all the ways I've been wrong on the way through learning about a world I ask questions about and coping with it in some ways that are not as healthy. And although you may cope with certain things in a way that appears to be healthy, or in a way that you may eat according to the current model of health that is on the poster in the lunchroom, um, one of us may enjoy a type of freedom that is foreign to the other. One of us may enjoy not only a lifespan, but a health span that is foreign to the other. And because we are not authorities on these matters, it may be that neither one of us are right. We die on the same day, you know, but for entirely different reasons. So hopefully, whatever we bring to the table is what we want to bring more life to. It's what we want to bring, the kind of praise to that the good things happening in. And what we take away from the table are the things that, uh, regardless of how much of a reaction your mother is going to have to that one thing that now you're going to, oh, I'll never hear the end of it. Does anyone have the sense to say, look, I understand that this is bothering you, but if you bring it to the table we're eating at, I'm not sure how much more you're going to be invited than he will be. And I'm saying that calmly because this is a nice meal. We're not trying to screw it up. Got it? Thanks. That's called dad shit. And while your mother loves the hell out of you, and she has a lot of creative force in your world and our world, her world, whatever, sometimes that same type of force that loves the hell out of you, almost loves you to death, is the kind that, whether or not you made that meal or whatever, yes, we're very grateful. It's very tasty. There's a certain type of creative force that doesn't go with dinner, even if you made the meal. And don't think that just because you made it, it's always going to be uh, a positive thing. I'm not necessarily talking to my mom. I'm talking to anyone that would have a what? Like, to me, that's already such a viscerally reacted to sound that it's not invited to dinner. I'm sorry. Okay. And if you can't save the truth until after dinner, knowing that that might be the reaction, fuck you, man. Get out of here. Or, don't make an excuse. Get out. Just, we're not mad, dude. Just go. Go. It's not about you. That's all I got for now, man. I think I might expand on this some more, but I just kind of want to lay the foundation. Like, you're in a world where a lot of people are emotionally reacting to stuff, and It's not adding value. You've got a lot of people that want to bring the smoking gun to the dinner table and show everybody how, oh yeah, I should have known it all along, you know. Meanwhile, the people that are getting it from this, often the times they're teaching you an emotional reaction to something that might be true, but why? Hand scratches head. Peace all. If I don't talk to you later. Probably have some guitar stuff. I want to make another channel and figure this out, configure my page a little different so I'm not losing my audience that might share or like what I have to share when I'm just on a stream of consciousness rampage and I'm not wishing to be bothered with refinement or anything like that, which is just totally ridiculous. If not separated from the different creative activities, kind of like dinner and the emotional response to something that is natural.